All right, Joanna, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Joana Simoes. And as I can guess by the title of my talk, I'm going to be speaking about education tonight. Okay, surprise. But first of all, I would like to give you a bit of background. So we know there is a problem of diversity in the tech industry, right? So only about 26% of the computing jobs are actually held by women. And the number has been on a steady decline for years. And I think this is part of a deeper problem. So even if companies want to hire a more diverse workforce, we see that the universities are not producing the professionals at the rate that they need. And so this is a problem that we should certainly address in terms of early education, but this effort would have an outcome in years. And we don't want to wait. I mean, we want to do something for the people that are right now working, for the adults who want to maybe transition to tech. So with this goal in mind, CodeOp was created. So it was created to exactly address this problem by supporting women and other groups who traditionally have been in the margins of tech to transition to tech careers. And how do we do this? So we do this through bootcamps. So I consider bootcamps as halfway between university education and what I call the hacker self-learn approach. So it's kind of, you learn by yourself, but there is someone there to support you, to mentor you, to make sure that you go in the wrong path and you don't go in the wrong path and you don't spend hours or days with such approaches. So basically it's an hands-on approach, and it combines short lectures, interactive lectures, and lots of activities and projects. And it's also industry oriented because we focus on the skills that are on demand on this industry. Now we are kind of like halfway the talk, and you're probably thinking, okay, so where is the geo here? Why are you telling us this in a Geomob talk? And actually, we know that geospatial information is everywhere these days, right? So even the applications which are not primarily geo-focused, like it could be the case of Foursquare or Uber or Airbnb and so on, even these applications, they deal with geospatial attributes in some way. So basically anyone that is working with data these days should be able to understand how to deal with this type of information. And as the people in this audience may know, because we are all geo geeks, this is not trivial. So there is this famous GIS quote which says there's something special about spatial. I think it's something like that, right? So there's something special about geospatial information, and certainly we need to understand it and know how to deal with it. If we don't, then bad things may end up happening. And I wanted to run quickly through a couple of examples of things that I've seen happening in industry and also within some of the students. So first of all, the naive pointing polygon algorithm. I mean, perhaps all of us did this at some point in our lives when we start working with geospatial information, right? So we have a square, and then we want to check if a point is within the square. Except if we are using angular coordinates, then we should not use planar geometry. So if we are using Cartesian geometry with angular coordinates, basically we are ignoring the fact that the Earth is spherical, or even better, is close to a geoid. So for people to realize this, that this may introduce some distortion, they need to understand first of all, that the Earth is not a plan, and that there are things called projections and coordinate systems. And as you know, this is like not an easy topic, but is important to understand that projection exists and that in some cases you should use some projections or other projections. So I'm not even going to mention what happens if people try to implement a pointing polygon with another geometry that is not a square. Then it becomes really complicated. If it's a polygon and it has holes or a multi-polygon. So I think it's important to know that these algorithms are not simple and they are implemented already and we can use them. The other thing I've seen a lot is drawing interactive maps as SVG, which there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's graphics. And for some use cases, if you just want to look at the geometry of the shapes, it's nice because it's very light and it gives a very nice effect. But then you lose the ability of overlaying data with other layers of spatial information and of course of doing geospatial analysis. So if this is something that matters to you, then you may be interesting to use actual geographic coordinates rather than screen coordinates or image coordinates. And of course, again, you need to understand about coordinate reference systems. Then for this one, I want to start by saying that I don't have anything against Google Maps, okay? It's perfectly fine, but Google Maps is not a synonymous of web mapping or interactive maps. And a lot of people identify the two things. So they basically, they don't realize there is a client and a server, and the client could be Google Maps, but it could be also something else. And the server could also be Google Maps or not. And once people understand that they have options, they can choose to use something else, or they can choose to keep using Google Maps. But I think it's important to understand that we have options here. And by the way, the same thing is about geocoding. I mean, a lot of people think that geocoding only exists in the Google Maps API. And this is not true, and perhaps it's not the best for every use case. So there are some restrictions with the Google Maps API. Is a proprietary API. It has cost, and certainly there are other alternatives, like is the case of OpenCage, which is the sponsor of this event, and even OpenStreetMaps. So I mean, it's important to see what is around and what works best for you. The other example I wanted to give you is storing geometries. I mean, if we want to store geometries in an ad hoc way, it's easy to store a point because it's just a pair of coordinates, right? But what about if we want to store more complex things like polygons or multi-polygons? And this is where it's important to understand what OGC formats are and the standards to encode geospatial information. And also that spatial databases, or most databases actually have some spatial support, but you know, again, it's there, but if you don't know about it, perhaps you're not going to use it. So the bottom line is full stack developers want to use geospatial information because it's there. If we don't teach them GIS, they will use it anyway. So with this realization has led us to actually incorporate these topics into the curriculum of our bootcamps. So there are quite a few bootcamps on GIS or spatial technologies, but as far as I know, there are not many bootcamps that generic bootcamps that include these topics on their curriculum. So we did this for the full stack development, and for the data analytics course, we actually went as far as adding a whole module about geospatial analysis, which teaches how to do geospatial operations in a desktop, GIS and in spatial databases. And the result is that after this, more than half of our students are choosing to introduce geospatial technologies in their final projects. So they are deciding that they want to use spatial data, that they want to use maps. And we've seen a couple of different applications, which are not primarily geo, but they are using geospatial information. Okay, so basically, our mission in CodeOp is to promote diversity and inclusion in tech. And we added another point, which is actually to foster a new generation of geo-aware techies, so full stack developers and data analysts. So if you are a company and you are interested in hiring a diverse and geo-educated full stack developers or data analysts, we would love to hear from you. And also, if you are a woman and you are part of another group in the margins of tech, and you want to boost your career with some tech knowledge, but you are also interested in geo, we also would love to hear from you. So thank you very much from your attention. I would like to close here, and I think we have time for a few questions, if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. And I've got a couple of questions for you. They're actually they're both on the same sort of thread. Someone's asked, how do we sign up and how much does it cost?
Oh, that's a very good question. So basically, maybe I can show here. So the website is codeop.tech. And here you have the information about all the courses and the different prices. Right now, we are running all the courses in remote. So we have students from all over the world. Even after lockdown, we will also run courses in remote. So if you are interested, you can have a look in the website, and there are the course dates and also the prices. So I recommend you to check the website.
Okay, and although you're targeting women, does that mean that it is gender specific, or is it open to anybody?
So basically, I mean, because we are targeting women, it doesn't mean that the bootcamp is different. Okay, some people ask, is it easier? No, it's not easier. But we wanted to focus on these groups that are underrepresented in tech. So basically, this will be women or transgender individuals or non-gender conformant. So basically, these are the people that we currently accept in the courses. There are lots of boot camps that accept everyone, actually.
Okay, and I'm just checking here. Yeah, last question. Does your focus on geo within your boot camps differentiate you a lot from other boot camps, or are they all now taking on board the importance of geo?
So as far as I know, they are not. So the people that are coming from other boot camps, they don't have this education. And I personally know people who did other boot camps, and I taught them these things afterwards. So I don't think this is accepted as a topic that should be learned by everyone. I mean, part of my rationale is that I don't think we should have specific, or maybe we can have specific courses about geo, but I would like geo to be part of the mainstream tech, because actually it's there.
Okay,